Hi, I'm Justin Garlow, and welcome to the Cutting Edge Podcast. Today we have Ed, Jonathan, and Josh here with us. Ed, you've been part of our IT team for 2 years now?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
How did you hear about Ford?
Well, interesting story. Cute story, actually. I was just going to talk to my wife about this the other day. I was an IT director at a large automotive dealership, and Jonathan and yourself came in to pitch copiers to us. We were in a place where we were getting rid of our current fleet. It was a company that shall remain nameless, like Voldemort, but they were not treating us well. And we put it out to three different companies. You guys actually were not only the lowest bid, but the people that I fell in love with the most when it came to really feeling like you cared about us as a company before we were even a customer.
No, I appreciate that.
Especially appreciated the relationship that you and Jonathan had and the back and forth that you guys did together. You actually remind me of the Winklevoss brothers from that.
I think we tried to invite you out to golf.
Half a dozen times.
Tons of times.
Years.
Yeah, I didn't want to kind of cross the line in the relationship. I wanted to keep it purely business, but it was hard to because Jonathan kind of really warmed up to me and really rubbed off on me that I just wanted to spend more time with him and talk to him. So over the next 10 years, we probably met at least once every 6 months for coffee, just talked as men and just about life and family and business, and just developed a really great relationship. And one day he said, we were meeting for coffee, he said, we're really looking to kickstart the next growth phase of our managed service business. And I looked at him and said, well, you just need a CIO, and you need someone who's been real world technology. And he didn't hesitate, and he said, well, you do it. And I didn't really expect him to do that because I was very content in my job where I was at.
Sure.
But it made sense on every level. And I talked to my wife, and she said, as much as you talk about him as a man, she said, I think you should do it. And that's what started the marriage.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely glad to have you on the team.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I've had a long career and a good career, but I've never had as much fun doing what I love as I have here. So I just want you guys to take that to heart, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
It definitely shows every day that you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, I love it.
And since that time, we've taken our product offering in such a big different trajectory and been able to expand that immensely by some of the team that you've developed, and it's been a good 2.5 years. It's been a fun run.
It has been. It's kind of flown. I realized every day just feels like it lasts about 10 minutes, and I realize we're getting we're here in the second to last week of the year, and I can't believe that 2024 is almost gone, and we're getting ready to start well into 2025 within the next 2 weeks. I'm just excited about the opportunity, and just, every day is exciting. It really is. It really brings a great opportunity and challenge.
That's awesome.
Kind of speaking of the new offerings, though, they're not so new anymore. Our managed security offering coming into the holidays. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is actually a really good time for hackers. Because as busy as everybody gets, it causes them to be kind of sloppy in their paying attention to things. For instance, I was talking to a colleague the other night, and a bunch of people at his company got from the CEO of the company, and it looked very similar to the CEO address. There was one letter off in the @.com address, right, throwing them off. And look, if you don't pay attention, you wouldn't notice that the R is really an N, and they all got the, hey, I'm getting you all iPads this year for Christmas. Log in here, select your iPad. 6 people got compromised and lost their security to whoever it is that was done it. Now, the company that they had taking care of them did not have advanced email protection in, did not have anything protecting them from the web. So that they are hoping that nothing serious is happening and that they're not being breached to the point where they'll be ransomed. But that is definitely what happens during the holidays, is we get excited. I'd get excited if Jonathan or you sent an email saying, hey, Ed, we decided to get, the senior team iPads this year. I'd have to slow down and think, what's going on? Well, here's what you really need to do when something like that happens. You better pick up the phone and call better call Jonathan and make sure that he really sent that.
And call from a known number, right? And the
Yeah.
numbers
Right.
in the signature blocks on a lot of those emails are fake numbers that are going to go to
Forwarding to scammers.
Yeah.
scammers. And you know, with AI, I feel like AI gets brought into every cybersecurity conversation, but with AI, that voice can sound like Jonathan's now as well. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point. Jonathan's voice has been out in public enough to where anybody with good AI skills could put together a track that if I called that number and said, hey, if you're calling about the iPad giveaway, please go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
I hope, Merry Christmas. But it's very risky. The holidays, I think cyber theft increases by 35% during the holiday season, which is a lot.
And it's, I think a lot of folks out there like, why me? I'm just a nobody. I'm a small company. They don't want to hit me, but they do, because they may not necessarily want you, but they want who you have access
It's
to.
exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Exactly right.
Yep.
So
We
it's
all-
important
we all
to pay
have a big
attention
hitter in our-
regardless of how big or small your company is, right?
Sure. I mean, we all have some big hitter in our address book.
Yep.
And that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
That example you talked about with the advanced email protection, it would have picked up that character that was off that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, we actually stopped one yesterday for a current client where the domain had been newly registered.
Okay.
If a domain's been registered less than a year, our advanced email protection flags that as a suspicious domain, because nobody with a company, unless it's a brand new startup or
Interesting.
incubator, has had that domain for less than a year.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things it picks up on. The other thing it would have picked up on is when it went to click on the link to enter their username and password, it would have sandboxed that link and realized it was bad and blocked it from them.
Okay.
It would have
But
given them.
also, I think more to Jonathan's point here, we actually had that happen years ago where it was by FBNN that looked like an M.
Right.
Because our domain used to be at byfbn.com. It looked like you really had to pay attention and look. But with advanced email protection and our firewall setup, it was flagged that as an outside, even though it looks like an inside domain, it would flag it, right? Doesn't it flag and say,
If
hey,
it-
this
if
is coming from the outside the
It would absolutely
organization.
say,
Yeah, it-
external email. Yep.
Yeah, which say that it was an external email, and that's a really good point. You should never see this is an external email or this email came from outside the organization when it's somebody
If it's
from your own
claiming to be
company.
internal, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
That's just
a great
best
point.
practices, though, right? I
It is best
yeah,
practices.
Okay. Yeah. So, but to set up that, anyone can buy an advanced email protection system, but isn't it like in the setup that's the secret sauce and making sure that it's done the right way and
It absolutely
yeah.
is. There's a difference between having one and having one managed for
Correct.
you.
Yep.
And we absolutely offer full management of this, which is daily tweaking sometimes of the system based on new threats that are out there. So yeah,
And-
just
and-
having one is okay. Having one managed is really the path.
That's
forward.
where the protection is.
And paying attention to the alerts, those things kick out probably hundreds of alerts a day, depending on, how many emails are coming and going, so,
Yeah, for a
who
big
has
organization,
time,
exactly,
right, who has time to review those alerts for patterns and stuff that's, coming into your domain. We do that though for our clients, is that correct?
Yet we do that, but one of the things that allows us to do that is that we've invested in a cybersecurity team.
Correct?
We
Yeah.
actually did an interview with a potential client 2 days ago where they had a guy who had one help desk person with them. And they filled out their cybersecurity insurance and they didn't check mark the box, we have EDR, and EDR is endpoint detection and response, which is critical for malware protection and allowing something that gets into your building to travel east and west and
Right.
just infect multiple
the whole
machines.
the whole network.
And I said to them, why do you not have EDR? And they said, our tech said there's really nothing on our computers to steal. We don't need EDR. Well, their cybersecurity insurance will not pay for that breach, as well as their tech was wrong. And I said, you have to invest in security, because even if you have cloud, everything in your business is cloud, The moment I infect your computer, I'm stealing your username and password to all those cloud sites, and then I'm downloading the data anyway.
Right.
So it's really important to understand
Yeah.
that cybersecurity has now become its own division. It's now become its own entity.
And I think it's important to reiterate what we said just a few minutes ago, that it may not be what you personally have. There's nothing on my computer that I care if they steal,
Right.
but who do you have access to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had that a handful of times with even not clients of ours, but CPA firms that have become clients
Yeah.
after that. That's a big, that's a big target market.
And a CPA is a absolute prime example. You know, the CPA firm may be a small firm, only a handful of accountants. Like, we don't have anything that we store locally, but do you have any big clients that
Right.
you do taxes for, or you have access to social security numbers and bank
And
accounts?
who would open an email from you? Because they're going to be emailing everybody on your
Exactly
email
right.
list.
Especially, during tax time, end of the
Right.
year, coming in the beginning of the year. It may not be your network or your computer, but it could potentially be who do you have access to.
If you think about that here, we've got, entry-level positions on delivery trucks. We've got entry-level positions in help desk, and although they may not have a lot of data in their network, all three of you have emailed them at one point or another, which means you've opened up the door for them finding you, then going through your LinkedIn, finding your
Yep.
CFO, and
Well-
just opening up a plethora of opportunities for hackers.
That just popped into my mind, an incident yesterday where we got an email from a local municipality with malware attached to it
Yeah.
from their domain. So their email was compromised in one way, shape, or form. And when you get an email from just a crazy domain, you're probably not going to open it. But when it's a legit domain, because they've gained access to your email, people are more likely, to open it and see what it is.
Yeah.
So that just happened to us yesterday. At least me, I got an email from a municipality that was not legit.
Right. And by the time you open it to see if it is legit, 50% of the time it's too late.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the best ways to protect yourself?
Well, we talked about advanced email protection, which
Sure.
is great, and you really have to have that tuned and managed by a company. And that advanced email protection will go a long way towards sandboxing, also reducing all the spam that you get to your inbox, which is great. That's been, people kind of get email fatigue.
Right.
I may know a guy who has 17,000 unread emails in his
Right.
inbox because he's
may
just...
or may not know.
I think he's to my right.
Yes. And people get so email fatigued that when they do decide to open up emails, they just open up a bunch of them to try and knock that number down. And if you were to have advanced email protection, you're going to pick up spam protection, you're going to pick up malware protection, you're going to pick up sandboxing of the links. That goes a long, long way. Cybersecurity training also keeps it in front of people's minds. So when we do cybersecurity training, we do an onboarding at first to kind of get everybody up to speed, and then we do monthly phishing campaigns, which kind of simulate the attacks without being harmful, and allows them to kind of prepare in their minds, oh, this is what I should be looking out for. And then we do cybersecurity training, 3 to 4 minutes a month, and just what's a new emerging threat, and go from there. So that takes you a long, long way. The other thing I would add would be advanced web protection.
I agree.
Because if let's say for some reason there's something brand new 0-day out there that the advanced email protection didn't cover, the advanced web would not let that website open up. And so you'd have a really solid, kind of full metal jacket to protect you.
Nice. Well, being that it's a holiday season, do you see any attacks, I guess, funny themed or fun themed, holiday themed coming through?
Well, not all fun for sure, because people are excited around the holidays. They're looking for Aunt Sally to send them a
Sure,
gift
right,
card. They're looking
right.
for, a cheap membership to a gym, knowing that New Year's Eve is coming up and their resolution is going to be, I'm going to lose weight. And,
I'd probably be on board for that one.
well, resolution is I'm going to lose weight, but I'm going to quit the gym by January 31st so I don't have to lose weight. But yeah, I mean, this is the worst time of year because everybody's just so excited to get something from somebody. You could have somebody get to your Facebook and see that you've got a cousin in Alaska who you haven't talked to in a while, and they'll email from the cousin, hey, it's been so long since we're doing a family, gift bag trading, or what's that called when you
White elephant gift.
Secret
Yeah,
Santa.
Secret
Yeah, Secret
Santa,
Santa,
white
thank you.
elephant, whatever. Yeah.
We're doing a Secret Santa. We'd love to invite you this year.
Yeah.
You know, here, log into Secret Santa portal.
And then boom.
Everybody's just excited to be loved this time of year, so they're just kind of dropping their guard.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's just they're getting so much better at it. The quality of their, attacks are progressing so much. It's unbelievable.
And that's a very good point to bring up. Just even a few short years ago in our cybersecurity training, one of the red flags was poor grammar, misspelled words.
Right.
But
That doesn't happen anymore.
I'm going to bring AI back into this conversation. With AI, anybody can draft a legit email now. It's grammatically correct. It's spelling's correct. They're getting tougher and tougher.
Sounds great.
Persuasive.
Yeah, yep.
Very persuasive.
Yeah.
You can literally put it in there and just say, hey, make it more persuasive. Make it so that someone would open this. Like,
Yeah.
AI is crazy.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer all the way around. Even for a legit business like ours, it's a game changer. But for the bad guys, it's a game changer as well. So
Right.
you just definitely got to keep that in mind. They're harder and harder to spot.
They are, and that's one of the reasons that cybersecurity training is so important, is that as those things change month over month, our tools tweak themselves
Right.
to adjust to what's next and what's close. And we do fairly well. From an organizational standpoint, I think the industry average is 8% open rate, and I think our customers average 4% open rate. So I think we're doing a really good job educating them so that they understand what they should be clicking on, because we're below the national average.
Yeah.
Good.
And then just continually, making sure that we have the right partners to put into our stack that we're offering to our clients.
It's correct.
Absolutely, it is ongoing.
Me and you had that conversation yesterday about how much of your time is spent vetting new technologies and even taking a look at our current technologies. How can we make them better, tweak them?
Get the vendors to step up to
Yeah,
where our
yeah.
clients need that.
You spend a
Expertise.
tremendous amount of your time in that area.
I do.
Yeah.
And that didn't used to be the case 2 years ago. 2 years ago, there was a cybersecurity vendor or a couple cybersecurity vendors, but now cybersecurity is probably the number one focus of all managed service providers,
Yeah.
or at least it should be.
So we're talking about businesses, how they can protect themselves. How can Sally down the street or just regular guy sitting at home, how are they protecting themselves?
Well, businesses and people at home have some things in common. A lot of times at home, and I know that my kids were absolutely guilty of this at one point, is they never patched their Windows computers. They would ignore the patch, and it'd be a month that would go by. Well, the security patches that come out for both homeowners and business owners are there because somebody found a vulnerability in the operating system and they're about ready to attack your computer. If you don't patch that, you're kind of, dropping your skivvies there and giving your okay to please attack me.
Yep.
So patching at home is important. Passwords are hugely important.
Yeah.
I helped somebody who was having a problem. This is a personal friend of mine. Helped somebody who's having a problem, and it just pains me to see how many times he's used the same password across all his portals,
Yeah.
and how many times it's his last name ! And those are just some really bad practices to get into.
I've been considering passwords, like even when I'm on something, our payroll, I had to reset my password, and I was like, oh, well, let me put like something based on the company. And I'm like, no, terrible idea, Justin. And I wouldn't have even thought about that if it wasn't for conversations we've had over the years.
That's what I was just going to say too. That speaking of passwords, something I've learned from you, Ed, is it's the length of the password versus the complexity of it. So, putting a password of 8 characters and using all symbols and numbers and exclamation points is less secure than a 24-character sentence. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. They come out with the statistic every month based on the new technology that can brute force, and that's what it's called, as a brute force attack on your password database or on your individual passwords. And they use robots and AI to sit there and go through the algorithms to try and break that password. regardless of how many uppercase, lowercase, or special characters you use in an 8-character password, it takes the average AI 3 minutes to break that password.
Right.
As soon as you get to 16 characters, it takes them 30,000 years.
Yeah.
Now that
So-
will change as AI gets better,
Right.
Sure.
and there'll be other recommendations. But something as simple as I love pepperoni pizza will take them much longer to break my password than it is your 8-character password, regardless of how
Yeah.
complicated it is.
And this is probably for another conversation, but talking about advancements, Google's new chip they have out now,
Yeah.
the quantum chip or something,
Right.
that can do like a trillion times more, like a trillion times more calculations per second than our current fastest supercomputer. So, that 20 or that 16-digit password might have to be 256 digit at some point, huh?
Well, the easiest way to stay ahead of that is to employ something like a password manager. Now, a lot of people get confused and thinking, well, Google manages my passwords. That's not a password manager. Google's keeping track of
That's a
yours
password
in the
database,
browser,
right.
which
Right.
is bad because the very first thing an attacker has at his option is to go look and see how many of your passwords are saved in Google. And it takes about 3 minutes to break the security on Google's web browser to get to those passwords. But if you use something like a LastPass, which is something that we deploy to clients, we love that product. It allows you to do things like rotate my passwords for me, or use encrypted passwords, but my simple password to log in is something more simple for me. It also allows you this is good for not just businesses but homeowners. It would allow you to share a password with Jonathan and a username and password with him so he can log into the site without him ever knowing the password.
Right.
And that's good for parents also, which I absolutely love, because my kids will say, hey, what's the login to the Verizon account? And I say, I'm not telling you to log in, but I'll share it with you in LastPass. I'm not telling you to log on to my Netflix account, but I'll share it with you in LastPass.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting.
And that way they get to see it, but they never see the password, so they can't hijack my account.
You can control their access. You want them to have access this time, but not necessarily the next time.
That's a great point. All the password managers have a one-time token, or it expires in 30 days, or it expires in 6 weeks, or I rotate all my passwords every 90 days for me. It's much easier to stay ahead because the hackers have a tolerance of X when it comes to how long they'll work on you before they'll
Right.
move on to the next
Because
person.
there's plenty of people who haven't put the time and energy into any kind
Easier
of security,
targets, right.
So if they come up on you and you have, a LastPass secure or password manager, and you have an EDR in place and advanced email protection, they're moving on. They're not gonna spend weeks and months trying to infiltrate you.
Yeah, they're still looking, because it exists, still looking for people who will think the Nigerian prince is real and is sending them money.
Yeah.
And you talk about that all the time. Even though that's not the case anymore, it's still the case when it comes to how little people pay attention to what they're being offered.
Yeah. Just one more thing on that LastPass. Is that something that we offer in our standard packages, or?
It's an additional add-on
Okay.
to our standard remote services, and it's very economical. It's just a few dollars per user, but it absolutely is a game changer when it comes to security inside the building that doesn't have to be managed.
All right, so now that we got the scary stuff out of the way, who's got some good holiday plans? Ed, what are you doing?
Sleeping, planning on sleeping a little bit, trying to get caught up on sleep, but we have we have Christmas Day with the kids, because with everybody being married or having a significant other, we have to split our holidays. We don't get Christmas Eve if we get Christmas, or vice versa. This year we decided to do an appetizer at Christmas. Instead of having main meals, everybody's bringing or making their favorite appetizer. So there's, I think, 11 appetizers that we're all making. It's pretty exciting.
I just went to something last week. It was a soup day. I've never had a soup day, but everybody, there were 5 different couples. They all brought a different soup.
That sounds horrible.
I
Yeah,
screwed
it
up. I
doesn't
brought
sound-
steaks.
That's great.
So, what about you, Josh? Any skiing or?
No, nothing crazy like that. I'm just going to spend Christmas with the family. Got Christmas Day dinner at my mom's, so looking forward to that.
Cool. And Jonathan, I'll see you at your place.
Some downtime,
Yep.
enjoy the family. Yeah, get recharged and reset so we can kick off 2025 strong.
I like it.
I am hoping for no snow, though.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, what do I mean is,
We need
if I'm
stuff.
not a global conspiracy theorist when it comes to global warming. However, if it is happening, I want it to happen right here in Pittsburgh so that we become the new North Carolina.
I do like golfing during the
These
like.
ski slopes will hurt too.
That's
bad.
what I was
Yeah.
saying. How can we go skiing if there's no snow?
Go west, young man, go west.
Well, anything cybersecurity wise to look out for? Josh, I think you got a funny story here.
Well, I'd say, speaking of skiing, a scam that these bad guys like to do is they will leave a jump drive, one of those little portable drives laying
Like a
somewhere.
flash USB.
Like a flash USB drive, exactly. They'll leave them laying around somewhere, and curiosity always killed the cat, right? So you pick it up, wonder what the heck's on here, plug it in, boom, your network's infected.
Computer
your
blows up.
computers, yeah. They got access to your bank account. And the story is, I was actually up at Seven Springs skiing, and there was a flash drive sitting on the floor, just
Waiting to be picked,
waiting
yeah.
to be picked up. I
Yeah.
picked it up, of course, but I
Is that the one you brought in and it wiped out all our computers? That's actually just a final parting comment on cybersecurity, is that if you did do something like a thumb drive, you're never going to see right away that they infected you.
Right.
So please don't think that it's okay that you opened up an email, nothing happened. That's exactly what it's designed to do. Is not to give you a warning that you're in trouble.
It's
it
a
waits
false
a week.
sense of
It waits
security.
2 weeks. It waits
Yep.
3 weeks. So if you think you've done something wrong, get help immediately.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
point.
How about Ed? I think last year was your first time ever on skis. Is that right?
No, it was my first time after 30 years.
Okay.
So basically, new beginner.
It was a new
Pretty
beginning.
well.
You did good, yeah, it was good.
I was sore for a week.
That was it was a heck of a leadership outing. We had a good time. You got up on skis. I don't think you fell. I burned Josh's coat. It was really just a great day all the way
So
around.
upset about that.
My wife is concerned that you guys are trying to kill me. So
With our
The next one's
All your
paintball.
leadership
So yeah,
on-
let's see how that
paintball.
goes.
the next thing is we're going to be throwing knives at each other or axe throwing, and I'm
We've
the
made the
target.
knives. We haven't. We
Yeah.
don't throw the knives. So
No, I absolutely have a blast. So really appreciate it.
good times. Well, with that, I think that's going to wrap us up. So happy holidays to all who are listening. Really appreciate your attention, your time, and thanks. Hey, this is Justin Garlow. Thanks for tuning into the Cutting Edge Podcast. Make sure you listen to the next one.